Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Paul Brooker, and today I'm joined by a new guest to the show, Steve Walsh. Hello, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm good, Paul. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. Well, Steve, obviously, since you are a new guest to the show, could you just give us a brief overview as to who you are, where you've been, and what you're up to?
Where I've been. Uh, Basically, my whole life was involved with finding the domestic enemy. I got an inkling back in 1967, that there was a domestic enemy to the United States Constitution. I began hunting it in June of 1970. Took me 45 years of research, but I found it in late 2015. Began to write and research very, very even more so, and I got basically a 900-page manuscript to explain everything. I originally wrote it for Green Beret Colonel James Boegreitz. People used to refer to him as Bo, but he's 10 years older than me, and I'm 6, and he's 10 years older than me. I've never been able to make contact with him. So I began to I had to adapt. So I'm trying to get the word out.
Fantastic. So, 1967. What made you, dare I say it, wake up and start to question things? Because everyone has like a moment where they go, this isn't right. What was your moment?
Well, that's kind of a long story, but for 3 years prior to that, I was put through a program in the United States Air Force to steal my mind, with heavy PT, steal my mind against torture and brainwashing if I was shot down in Vietnam. By the end of that, by 67, I began to to realize that some of the brainwashing was coming from the establishment in America, the American government. So I started asking questions, and people didn't like me asking questions, but here I was.
Right. Okay, then. So your research has taken you on a journey. What is the end result? Who is the domestic terrorist, the domestic enemy that you found?
Um, it turns out that it was a statute created in 1946. It was called the Federal Criminal Procedures Act, Rule 6, which is the grand jury, and Rule 7, which is the information and the indictment and the information. Um, and what that did was it made the idea of the presentment in the Bill of Rights obsolete. Now, that used to be where a private citizen could take a complaint in the federal government to the federal grand jury for an independent investigation. Now, England, just to give a little perspective, England abolished the grand jury in the 1930s. America abolished basically the access to the federal grand jury by private citizens. So now only the government can investigate government. How does that sound?
Doesn't sound good at all because we all know when the beep hits the fan, they circle the wagons and they don't
And
really
they do.
investigate themselves, do they?
No, they don't, do they?
No. Wow. So what you found is that me, if I was an American, couldn't go to the grand jury and go, "Oh my God, I found this." They've taken away the access. Is that right?
Correct. Yes. Yes,
Right.
because in the Fifth Amendment, it says no person can be called to answer a charge unless on a presentment or an indictment. Now, an indictment, we all know what that is, but nobody really knows what a presentment is. And the curious thing is that the American Bar Association is in on the fix because what they do is they propagandize the idea. They'll say this in print, that the presentment is when a U.S. attorney submits an indictment to the grand jury for investigation and a vote, whether it's a true bill or a no bill.
Right. Okay. So the original Fifth Amendment, and you're going to have to excuse me because I'm not up on Constitution in America.
Sure,
You had two ways to be able to.
That's correct.
Approach this, but now they've changed it so that you have to present to a lawyer who then presents the indictment. They've sort of made one follow the other rather than there was two routes to do this. Am I right in assuming that?
That's very good. Yeah. See, what's happened is the the Bar Association is using presentment, which James Madison created as a noun. The American Bar Association is creating it as a verb. So they're misusing the words in the Constitution to fundamentally alter the meaning and the intent of the Constitution. So today, no American can point the finger at the government and say, I'm suspicious of that. I think we ought to investigate that. Now, just for context, when I originally put my finger on this in 2015, virtually nobody was thinking that anything was wrong with the federal government except conspiracy theorists.
You mean the ones that are now being proved right? Is that what you're saying,
right.
Steve?
That's right. That's right. I work with a retired CIA officer, and when he checked out my work, and he came back and he says, I don't understand why we didn't find this before. And I said, well, it's because you guys weren't looking for it, but I was. So it's pretty convoluted. It's a statute, what I'll call progressive law. And they just eliminated, they called it obsolete. So you're right, if you're an American, is now obsolete.
Right. So they've changed, basically, they've just literally changed the meaning of the word. And that's how they've managed to stop, dare I say it, the people being able to hold the government to account.
That's correct. Yes,
wow,
that's correct.
That is crazy. So who proposed this in the beginning? What was the original reason to bring this about?
Well, I can't really answer that question. A New York State Supreme Court justice found out about my work and wanted to read it. And she said that I'll have to shepherdize the statute. She suggested a U.S. Supreme Court case and gave me how to go about doing that. So I don't really know, but what I had to do was that, okay, if presentment was like what the American Bar Association suggests, if it's not that, what is it? And so I had to go follow that and find out what it actually was. So I traced that back through where it came from. So presentment, where James Madison found it, was in Article 23 of the 1776 North Carolina Constitution. Now, they got it from the 1669 fundamental constitutions of Carolina. And that was written by Lord Anthony Ashley. And he was England's Chancellor of the Exchequer, plus he was the Chief Lord Proprietor of North Carolina. His secretary, believe it or not, his secretary and scribe was John Locke. I'm sure you're familiar with your countryman, John Locke.
Yes.
So John Locke had a day-to-day hands-on experience with creating this Carolina settlement, Carolina colony, and Lord Ashley what he wanted was another trading arm for England. Well, he thought that a self-governing colony would best facilitate that. But what do you do about the pesky magistrates? No, he knew by being in Parliament for almost 30 years by that time that people in government can abuse their power. Yeah. So what do these colonies do? So he gave the Carolina settlers the right to take a malfeasant a name of a person and take it to their grand jury for investigation, and then to make a presentment to their judges.
Right. Okay. So this is starting to make a bit more sense now.
Okay.
Now, obviously, this is going back a long, long way.
Yes, it is.
Now, moving forwards to the present, how do we fix this? How do we restore the true meaning of presentment?
That's an excellent question. Well, the law is malleable to the people, to the people's will. Well, if enough people want something, it's going to get changed.
Yeah.
Well, the Bill of Rights was, let me back up just a little bit. Ratification of the United States Constitution was dead in the water. It wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't going to get ratified because of what they called the anti-federalists. The anti-federalists were very, very skeptical of a federal government. Today, we've got this. So Patrick Henry said that the Constitution is never going to be able to protect people's rights, even with a Bill of Rights. Well, I'm hoping that he didn't really understand the idea of presentment because he was in a whole different state. Did I answer your question?
Not yet. I think you were just giving us a little bit more of the background history of it. My question was, so we're at this point where they've taken away one of our means of holding the government to,
right. Yes. Okay.
Accountability.
Remember. Right. Okay. So what they did was they created an illegal law, an unlawful law. I won't say illegal. I won't say unconstitutional, but it's unlawful because to change the Constitution, if you accept that the Bill of Rights is a part of the Constitution, you can't change anything in the Constitution unless you, according to Article 3 in the Constitution, which states that you got to call a constitutional convention. A constitutional convention was never called. And because of that, it would be much easier to amend that law to reflect the true intent of James Madison in the Fifth Amendment. So right. you have the federal grand jury that has this right that was taken away unlawfully, but by amendment, legislative amendment, it can be rectified and everybody can get their freedom back. So if I had a problem with a particular federal magistrate, bureaucrat, whatever, I could go to the grand jury, federal grand jury, and make a complaint. Now, did I answer that? So you can change it by law. Now,
yes.
What I've got is I'm making it easy to get our right back. All we've got to do, I have the CIA contact. He says if I can put together 1 million signatures, we can put that on the president's desk. Well, okay. If you're familiar with the Brunson brothers Supreme Court challenge, okay.
They managed to slip in through some weird crack in the system, and now they're just waiting.
Yes, and what they did was they asked everybody to please send a letter to the Supreme Court. I did that twice. I sent them 2 letters. They asked for it twice, and I sent it to them twice. And I thought, wait a second, why don't I do that with this? So have people send a letter. Now, I've written that letter, so all they got to do is print it out and sign it. and send that to the president. And if he gets enough of them, he'll go, what are these people talking? Now, I've already written to the president 4 times, and I'm about to write to him again. But if he gets all these letters, he goes, what in the world is Walsh talking about? Right?
Yep.
And so he's going to hand it off to, I don't know, somebody. And he'll say, check this out. What's going on here? And then he'll find out. And because of who he is, he'll say, wait a second, this ain't right. And he'll create an executive order. Goes right
Job
back.
done.
And overnight, we have 94 federal grand juries in the United States. Each state has at least one. And the next day after this executive order takes effect, or the law, the lights on the federal grand jury over the door that says watchdog goes back on for the first time in 79 years. Missing in action for 79 years.
God, it's crazy, isn't it?
It
You know,
is.
we've seen such erosion of our rights as sovereign human beings be taken away. And it just seems with every year that passes, a little bit more just gets chipped away.
Yeah.
Here, a little bit there, and everything like that. We do need to unwind a lot of this damage that has been done to your justice system, my justice system, and everyone else's justice system. And there is strength in numbers, isn't there? You know, sending letters does help. You might not think it does. If enough of them go through the door, it will raise eyebrows. And that's actually a genius idea what you've come up with there, Steve.
Uh, well, it isn't because I'm so genius, because I'm really not. Uh, I'm tenacious, uh, uh, genius. I'll tell you, Paul, um, I've gotten much better at praying because
Yeah.
I prayed for inspiration on this whole thing, basically my whole adult life, because I was pretty crazy to go off in this direction.
Yeah, I mean it's a strange one because when you're in the minority, it it is a worrying place because you hit a lot of walls, a lot of negativity and everything else. But, you know, this journey of awakening, the one that I've been through and everything, it fortifies your soul and it fortifies that you know you're on the right path. And that's something you've got to, you know, thank God for because without him, you wouldn't be as strong as you are and being able to face these challenges that hit us every single day. So I hate to say it, if not enough people send letters in, how else can we make this change?
Interesting question. If we could find a federal legislator, either a congressman or a senator, to sponsor legislation to amend this, that's one way. Another way is through a U.S. Supreme Court action. This idea was given to me by a New York State Supreme Court justice, and she told me what I need to do is, and this isn't easy, but identify a current federal grand juror of stalwart heart who is willing to volunteer to create standing for this case. Now, what would that person do? So what they would do is they would try to initiate an investigation into something of their choice in the federal government. The United States attorney would move to squash that motion. At that point, my organization, would file an appeal. Bang, we're off on to running in the United States Supreme Court.
Right. Okay. So there is another option out there because
Three
just
of
think,
them.
oh, there's three options. Oh,
Well,
okay.
one is to write the president,
Yep.
executive. The second is to write or find a federal legislator, which is the legislation branch. That's two. And the third is the United States Supreme Court, which is the judicial. So that's three.
But obviously, looking at the Brunson brothers case that's going through at the moment, that's a tough one to go through the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Because what I didn't realize is they can shelve you indefinitely without
Yes.
a decision. That
Yes.
blows my mind how they are allowed with active cases to be able to just park them and forget about them and go,
Right,
do you know what? I don't fancy dealing with that, and I'll just put that over there.
right.
That's the bit that I find very, very strange.
Well, this is a little bit different than that case because those guys are outside of the grant of the federal of the United States Grant Supreme Court. But in this case, it would be a current federal grand juror who initiated the action. So it'd be
Right,
inside.
right. So they could make it happen a lot faster.
Yes.
That's brilliant. Um, can I just ask, what is the name of your organisation, Steve?
Well, I haven't formed it yet, but I think I'm going to call it the Foundation for Self Governance. Do you know Robert David Steele?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
He liked that name when I put it to his mind. He liked that name. Of course, we were going to hook up, but he died.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Very
Yes, it
unfortunate.
was. Yes, it was.
Brilliant. Well, Steve, is there anything else you would like to talk about today?
Uh, all I do is talk about the federal grand jury. I, there's without the ability for a private citizen to say that the people who basically are over them are in positions of ruling, unless that citizen can call them out on something that they don't see as right, we're not a free people. We're a kept people.
Yeah.
And we've been that way since 1946, which is now 79 years. My
Wow.
dad was 30 years old when this right was taken away from him.
Yeah, that is absolutely crazy, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah.
Well, just ask, how can people reach you if they want to reach out and try and help you or find out more information about this? Because a 900-page manuscript is not a small read, that's for sure.
No, no, it's not. It's very convoluted. It goes into the see. The thing is that I had to chase it down to where it actually was begun for history, for context, and it came from the Anglo-Saxon uh, kings in your country.
Wow.
Uh, in 977, Ethelred the second, which his name was Ethelred the Unready. He was unready to rule. He became king as a kid,
Yeah.
uh, and in his wantage code, he created the accusatory body, that's what the grand jury is. So what we have is I have the CIA retired intelligence officer who created a website for us, and it's called www.libertiesfifth.org.
Wow. Brilliant. Well, Steve, I'm going to put that link down below in the description for anyone to go
Thank
and
you.
check that out.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon. So
Thanks,
all that's
Paul.
left for
Thanks for
no
having me.
worries. Well, all that's left for me to say is to take care, everybody. God bless and see you all soon. Bye now.
Thanks again, Paul.